Do you believe the suspect's confession? Surely we can trust a confession. Why would anyone confess to a crime that they did not commit? It might seem nonsensical. Well, this view is actually shared by some investigators.
There is a principle in interrogation. A person will not admit to something they haven't done, short of torture or extreme duress. No matter how long you were grilled, no matter how much you were yelled at, you are not going to admit to something you have not done.
However, one of the problems is in the pressure of the interview. Suspects may misinterpret what they are being asked. So far in an earlier video, you've heard about the cognitive interview, which can be used to interview cooperative witnesses. The goal of the cognitive interview is to collect as much accurate information about events as possible. If, however, police believe that the person being interviewed may be responsible for the crime, then the goal of the interview may well change. The goal may then become to get a confession from the suspect. And there is good reason for this. Confessions are very convincing when a case goes to trial. In fact, confessions are actually probably the most convincing piece of evidence that the prosecution can present against a defendant. Cassin and Newman in 1997 found that the presence of a confession resulted in a 73% conviction rate in a fictional trial involving mock jurors. In comparison, an eyewitness identification of the suspect resulted in a 59% conviction rate. And somewhat worryingly, confessions appear to be pretty convincing, even when we probably should not trust them. Cassin and Sukul in 1997 found that a confession elicited through low pressure on the suspect, that is when the suspect testified that they felt under stress but suffered no physical discomfort, verbal abuse or threat, resulted in a 63% conviction rate. While a confession elicited through high-pressure techniques, this is where the suspect testified that they'd been made physically uncomfortable by the detective had flaunted their weapon in a threatening manner, and the suspect said that they felt under pressure to confess. Now, this still resulted in a 50% conviction rate. This compared to a conviction rate of 19% when there was no confession at all. So how often do confessions occur, and how often are these false confessions? Well, these are very tricky questions to answer. Mostyn and colleagues in 1992 estimated that between 39 and 48% of suspects make full confessions. But what is the rate of false confession? This is a difficult statistic to know reliably for a whole range of issues. One piece of evidence suggests that up to 25% of cases in the Innocence Project involves a false confession. Badau and Radulets in 1987, in their study of wrongful convictions in capital and potential capital cases in the US from 1900 to 1987, found that false confessions played a role in 49 of the 350 miscarriages of justice that they had documented in these cases. Leo and Dryden in 2010 summarised across a number of studies and noted that the percentages of miscarriages of justice involving false confessions in these analyses ranged from 14 to 60%. So these studies show that the problem of false confessions remain a key cause of the wrongful conviction of innocent people. And this is pretty concerning.